Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in once again to the Duval. Of course, I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game here from Fans First Sports Network. And hey, listen, we called for some questions to reach into the mailbag from you guys. Y'all came up in spades and did great stuff. The past two episodes, we've done your questions and a little bit of talking on other topics. And then we're going to probably have more going into another week at least. So again, thank you in advance for all that. Matter of fact, there's so much of this mail that there's no way I could sort through it alone. Give it up for my personal champion, Big Cat Country's own Travis D. Holmes. Man, are you surprised that we got enough questions to have a Travis Hunter-centric episode? I'm not.
I am not. I'm actually shocked we didn't get like 9 more Travis Hunter questions. We should have just had a whole just Travis Hunter week. Like I'm truly shocked that y'all let me down. Next time I expect at least 19 Travis Hunter questions. Come on, baby.
Hold up, homie. Listen, look here. Here's the thing. You sound like one of these people who told me that the Jags should have drafted an offensive lineman instead of Travis Hunter. That's a thing that happened. I got those text messages. Shouts to my boy BP from the shores of the St. John's. That being said, I know you didn't say it. You have a head on your shoulders, and you've written enough articles on Big Cat Country, knowing that they got 4 offensive linemen in the dang offseason as free agents and drafted a 5th one. Now, granted, at the time,
drafted a 6th one. Yeah, no,
you're right. We're up to 6. Jonah Monheim, correct. Center, USC, right? Of course. But those 2 guys weren't drafted, in fairness, at the time I got that tweet. It was all in response to Travis Hunter. And we already got plenty of Travis Hunter questions. You want to know what that extravaganza was called, Travis? It's called Draft Day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, with that in mind and draftees in mind and Travis Hunter, this isn't a full Travis Hunter question, but it is surely gently implicated. And by the way, this one comes from a friend of the show, News 4 Jags' own Jamal St. Cyr, J. St. Cyr TV on Instagram. That's S for Saint, by the way. Don't spell it out. Over or under 2 rookie starters week 1. So it's an incomplete question in that I don't want to allow for a push, so I'll let you solve for it. Is the over-under going to be set at 1.5 or 2.5 here, Travis?
The over-under is going to be set at 2.5. I'm just going to interpret that from his perspective. And if the over-under's 2.5, I still say over. I do. And that also kind of depends on how you feel about not Tyson, goodness gracious, how you feel about Travis Hunter. Because technically speaking, I can make the argument that he technically counts as 2 rookies. I don't know. He's starting at receiver.
The way it's worded is 1 rookie is number of rookies. Right. So you're trying to be smooth. You're getting insurance adjustment on me here. And I'm going to a deposition right here. No, that is 1 rookie. I don't care how many spots he takes up. So continue.
Okay. So
that's a good point.
I believe Travis Hunter will start. That is number 1.
Yes.
I believe that, he would also probably end up starting at corner, but that's neither here nor there. We've established this. Okay, cool. But I also believe Caleb Ransall will start at safety. And if you believe those 2 things as far as week 1 is concerned, then we just have to have a conversation of whether or not we think Jack Keiser is going to end up playing over Devin Lloyd or over Ventrell Miller. I don't think that's a crazy stretch of the imagination personally. And then you have the additional conversations about, whether or not one of these offensive linemen, basically Wyatt Millum, is going to be able to beat out either Ezra Cleveland or Patrick McCarry or Jonah Monheim end up beating out Robert Hainsey or Luke Fortner. Well, mainly Robert Hainsey. I don't necessarily believe that Jonah's going to necessarily beat out Robert Hainsey because he is an NFL veteran, and Jonah was drafted in the 7th round for a reason. Like, he still does have some development left, but I can absolutely see Wyatt Millum having a shooting chance. If he shows up early and getting, but that's a very difficult one. But I'm still going to go with the over. How about you, Mr. Offensive Lineman?
I first of all, I think offensive lineman is not the place it's going to happen. I just think the room's too crowded at this point with actual veteran starting experience. And no disrespect to either of the guys drafted. I mean, one didn't give up a sack, and another was one of the top blockers in the nation. So, or excuse me, Monheim only gave up 1 sack last year, I think is the stat, something like that. That being said, where I sit is certainly Travis Hunter starting. I love the Ransaw take. I'm right there with you. You mentioned Jack Kaiser as a possibility. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be sneaky on the board and say, depending on what you interpret as a starter, right? Because wide receiver 2 is a starter, I can make the argument that LaQuint Allen may end up ahead of Tank Bigsby. Now, if you're not counting Tank Bigsby as the starter, I get it. But if they come out in that first formation and LaQuint Allen is in it, I win. That being said, no, but that being said, I don't think I don't think you're going to see day one starters out of the running back room. I think they will earn their way to it. But I'm going to go ahead and go with over. I'm with you. I think the defense has at least 2 rookie starters on their own, with Travis Hunter nailing the offense. I'm with you on that. I got you 100% there. So that's
cool.
Solid question by friend of
agree.
Jamal Saints here. We are in alignment. This is the talent that Jamal has. He gets us agreeing and stuff. It's a great thing. Want to make sure I get the correct question. If I get it wrong, you won't see it on the pod. There we go. What percentage of offensive snaps and what percentage of defensive snaps do you anticipate Travis Hunter playing? First of all, Waifu, thank you for the question. I will also encourage you to actually subscribe and like our YouTube channel, the Duval Dive, because if you did so, this would have already taken care of you. Travis dropped an excellent short where he said, what they're planning. You go ahead and word.
They wanted to look like it looked at Colorado. So, and if it looks like what it looked like at Colorado, then you're looking closer to that 80 to 85% range in both offense and defense. That's just objectively what it looked like.
Yes.
That is nuts. I mean, even if you want to go down a little bit and say he's going to be an 80 to 85% wide, snap share at just that wide receiver, and maybe he'll be a little bit more of a package guy at cornerback, you're still probably looking at like that 70% range. That feels like a floor. If he's able to kind of show what he's already shown us both in high school and in college at 2 different schools, then yeah, I kind of believe that this is who this guy is, and they want to reshape the game and make this something new, and he's going to push the envelope or push the limits of what this NFL is, whatever Gladstone said. I forgot how he phrased it, but the gist of it being is, if that's what they want it to look like, then yes, you're going to be talking some true full-time snaps, 70 plus, 80+% on both sides of the ball. Yeah.
I don't hate your take. Here's where I am, and here's what I think is going to happen, and I'll be wrong. I've been wrong before. People will like this take as much as I like this particular band that's named after a particular position on the defensive backfield, but that's where I think Travis Hunter is going to see most of his time. You probably aren't going, that's right, I'm saying Nickelback. I think Travis Hunter is going to play a lot of Nickelback. Now, how many snaps he takes, what percentage will be dependent on Tyson Campbell's health. I'm with you on that. But I feel like there's going to be a heavy emphasis on offense so that he learns the playbook first. And then as that defensive contribution comes, it'll be later in the year when injuries start to happen. Hopefully Tyson Campbell doesn't pull what he did last year and get hurt enough to be missing games in week bleeding 1 in Miami, right? So that could change everything, obviously. It's why I led with the caveat. But yeah, I'm not going to go 70 or 80 like you, but I think it'll probably be, let's say, I don't know, 70 to 80 on offense with more of a 40 or 50 on defense, being package dependent on what's going on.
Okay. So, I mean, I don't hate it. It is what it is. But I'm just, again, if Liam Cohen and James Gladstone so far have been men of their words, and every time they say they're going to do something, they end up doing nearly exactly that. I'm just going by their words for the moment until I can see these guys, truly do it in the game or in the regular season game. Then that's kind of all I have to go off of. So I'm just kind of going with it.
Yeah, I'm expecting an unexpected logistical snag to rear its ugly head, and they'll eventually correct it, which is why they'll get to the numbers I'm saying. But they'll have the intention of doing that. They'll hit the snag that'll drop the number. You get where I'm going. So
I got you.
The next Travis Hunter based question here is if Hunter was in last year's draft just as a receiver, big caveat there, where would he have gone in that class? I'll lead with this. It would have been ahead of pick, what was it, 23, where BTJ went. That I'll tell you.
Jeez, that's a hard one, boy. That is a difficult conversation. Where would Travis Hunter go in the 2024 NFL draft? Okay, so you got Marvin Harrison Jr.
Right.
He was pretty much widely expected to be the number one pick, but then in the question he says just as a receiver. So I'm not
Correct.
adding in Travis. I'm not adding in Travis Hunter's DB contributions because that's a part of who you're drafting, right?
Right.
Uh, that makes this a more difficult question, a difficult conversation, I should say.
Which, yeah, I think that alone makes it nearly impossible for him to pass up Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah,
right? Because like
right.
he was ordained from moment one to be that dude. And let's also keep in mind, right? We're getting quarterbacks off the board early, right? So those two, Drake May and Jane Daniels, probably would have still gone anyway. Marvin Harrison, next, third overall. Joe Alt would have still gone to the Chargers, I think. After that, I said it before. It's at 5. Sorry, Caleb Williams was your first quarterback. My bad. The quarterback, in short, the quarterback frenzy changes this. Here's where it gets interesting. Does Travis Hunter go before Malik Neighbors to New York? I say yes.
This is weird because I'm still at this point looking at this list and I'm like, it's weird because I'm like, dude, I don't know. If you're only talking his skill as a wide receiver and not talking his contributions as a cornerback, that makes this a harder conversation because his skills as just a wide receiver are great, but are they better than Malik Neighbors? And are they better than Marvin Harrison Jr.? Though that's a close conversation. He's absolutely going ahead of Rome Odunze, though. That's the other piece. But I don't know that he's necessarily going to be in front of Malik Neighbors just as a wide receiver. These ads are killing me. So I'm probably going to say, yeah, Travis Hunter will probably be the second best receiver off the board if you're talking that 2024 NFL draft cycle. And I would love to say he'd be number one if you're talking if his cornerback contributions add into that conversation. I honestly don't think it'd be close. I think he still would go ahead of even Marvin Harrison. Now that's the spicier conversation.
Yeah, the floor is Roma Dunze at 9 then. Do the Falcons get Travis Hunter instead of Michael Penix? That's a question. Would he have it's been pulled at 8? Would the Titans have gotten him to attempt to account for Brown and losing him and still having yet to recover from it yet? I don't think so because they went tackle with JC Latham. So I don't think so. I think the floor is 8, but the ceiling is 6. So I think that generally answers the question. What say you, sir?
With more quarterbacks on the board and everything else, I guess that does change the dynamic a lot because again, there are more elite level guys in that draft class. That's just what it is. So again, Marvin Harrison Jr. was elite. Malik Neighbors was elite. Travis Hunter is elite. But he's also elite on two sides of the ball, so that changes things just slightly. But and again, some of these quarterbacks were actually good prospects, unlike this class where you just had.
We're not accounting for defensive skills here. That's the nature of the question. On defensive. That's hard. It's hard. I get you.
No, it makes it so much harder, right? But nevertheless, yeah. So I think I'm in agreement with you that we're probably in that 6 to 9 range, or 6 to 8 range. If you're just talking as a receiver.
Yeah, the floor is 9 because that's what Roma Dunze got picked. We're both saying he's better than Odunze. No disrespect to Roma Dunze,
and that's with no hindsight. Like I do believe that is the case. That's kind of where I land.
Yeah, no, so 6 to 8 answers the question, and that wraps up the Travis Hunter edition of the Grab Bag. So there you go, Travis E. Holmes. Tell the world.
Well, yep, I can be found on all the socials. Travis V. Holmes, Instagram, Facebook, X, etc. But Blue Sky, yeah. But more importantly, you can find my writing covering the Jacksonville Jaguars, BigCatCountry.com, Keep it locked in. As always, we'll always have you guys covered with any of your updated and breaking Jacksonville Jaguars news. And if you're listening to the sound of my voice, please go ahead and just like and subscribe to the Duval Dive podcast on YouTube. Please help us out, help us with the algorithm, help us keep this thing going, especially while it's free. You know, like you don't have to pay. Just that quick like, maybe even leave us a comment. We appreciate you guys that are that come here every week and comment it and keep this thing going, keep this thing live. Whether that's Hef, Radius, Duval, Divers, all you guys, man. So we appreciate you and keep this thing going, keep this thing growing. What about you, sir? Where can you be found?
Honor, joy, and privilege to do it with you again, too, champ. And of course, I am Kyle Nash, student of the game. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, as well as Blue Sky at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game, and check out my writing with the Fans First Sports Network, covering your Jacksonville Jaguars and the Orlando Magic, and also the Black and Gold Banneret, covering UCF football and basketball. A lot of interesting offseason stuff. If you haven't checked out my piece on Scott Frost's contract, do that. Very interesting, the compensation package and what it does to his buyout if he wins a bowl game. Explore all that there. Also on the Night Shift podcast and YouTube channels as well. So for my personal champion, Travis D. Holmes, thank you to everybody who came in and hopped in and did the thing. And until next time, everyone, class dismissed.